the unexpected signal. High above Earth, in a quiet part of the galaxy, a massive alien research ship floated in orbit. Its surface was smooth and silver, like glass. Inside, glowing lights and soft humming sounds filled the long metal halls. Zira, a young alien girl from the planet Virelia, stood in front of a large screen. Her eyes, bright blue with swirling rings, focused on the image of Earth. She had never been this close to the human world before. She was curious but also careful. Earth was considered a primitive planet by her people, emotional, chaotic, and not important enough for real attention. Zira was not like the others. She had always been more curious about emotions and humans than most Virelians. Her job on the ship was simple: scan the surface, collect data, and leave. But something strange happened that day. As she leaned closer to the control panel, a soft beep came from the small device on her wrist. She looked down. Her soulmate indicator, a rare organic crystal embedded in her skin, was glowing, bright red. Her heart skipped a beat. "No, this can't be right," she whispered. The soulmate indicator only reacted to one thing: a perfect emotional match. A soulmate. It was an ancient piece of tech from her home planet, and very few people even had one. It was said to glow only once in a lifetime, but this was impossible. There were no other Virelians on this mission, only her, and the signal. It was coming from Earth. Zira stared at the glowing light. It was pulsing now, faster and brighter. She tapped the device. Maybe it was broken? She ran a quick scan, but the system confirmed the impossible. The signal came from a human, a male. Young. Location: Northern Hemisphere. Forest area. Life sign stable. Zira's jaw dropped. "How could a human be my soulmate?" she said, eyes wide in shock. Her people believed that humans were far below Virelians in intelligence and emotion. No one had ever bonded with a human before. Not in history, not even in stories. For a moment, Zira stood frozen. Her hands were shaking. She knew what this meant. If her leaders found out, they would call it a malfunction. Or worse, they would think she was infected or broken. But deep inside, she didn't feel broken. She felt pulled, drawn to the signal. It felt real. She looked around. The control room was empty. Everyone else was at the main meeting hall. Zira made a quick decision. "I have to see him," she said. Just once. She rushed through the halls, silent and fast. She reached the pod chamber. She was not allowed to use it without permission, but she was a skilled pilot. She could do it. One short trip, in and out. No one would notice. She entered the stealth pod, a small black ship made for quiet landings. She set the coordinates to the forest location. Her hands trembled as she pressed. "Launch." As the pod left the mothership, Zira looked back once. She felt fear, but also something else. Excitement. Below her, the blue planet grew larger. Clouds passed quickly, cities, rivers, mountains, and then the thick green forest. "Almost there," she whispered. The pod entered the atmosphere. It shook but held steady. She turned on the invisibility shield. Suddenly, a storm hit. Lightning flashed. Winds howled. The pod started to lose balance. "No, no, no, stay steady," Zira said, fighting the controls. She crash-landed deeper, in the forest than planned. The pod skidded, hit a tree, and stopped. Alarms beeped. Smoke filled the air. Zira coughed and unstrapped herself. Her leg was hurt. Blood, blue and glowing, dripped down. She pushed open the pod door and stumbled into the wet grass. Then, footsteps. Zira froze. A boy, maybe 16 or 17, stepped out from behind the trees. He had dark hair, curious eyes, and a flashlight. He looked at her, confused and worried. "Are you okay? What happened? Are you lost?" he asked. Zira blinked. She opened her mouth but said nothing. When the boy came closer to help her stand, his hand touched hers. In that exact moment, her soulmate indicator exploded with light. It burned bright red, pulsing like a heartbeat. The boy saw it, his eyes widened. "What is that?" he asked. Zira gasped. She felt a strange warmth in her chest. Her mind was spinning. "It's you," she whispered. "It's really you." The boy stepped back, confused. "What?" Zira looked down at the glowing light. There was no doubt now. This human boy was her soulmate. The forest was quiet again. Only the sound of light rain tapping on leaves could be heard. After the crash, everything seemed frozen. Leo, the human boy who had found the strange girl, stood still. His heart was beating fast. He didn't understand what just happened. The girl's hand had lit up like a glowing gem the moment they touched. He looked at her again. Her skin was pale with a soft shimmer, her hair long and silver blue, and her eyes were glowing faintly like stars. She was not normal. She was not from here. Zira pulled her hand away quickly. She felt the heat in her chest again. It was the soulmate indicator, reacting to the human and to Leo. She couldn't believe it was real. The feeling was too strong. Her instincts were screaming that this boy was the one, her match, her emotional pair. But he was human. This was not supposed to be possible. She looked at Leo, unsure of what to say. Her training had never prepared her for this kind of situation. Leo stepped forward slowly. "Are you okay?" he asked. "You fell from the sky. I saw it." Zira tried to stand but winced in pain. Her leg was still bleeding. She nodded weakly, then spoke, choosing her words carefully. "I need help. Please don't tell anyone you saw me." Leo looked around. No one else was there. Just him, the strange girl, and her crashed pod. It looked like a small spaceship. He didn't understand any of this, but something inside told him to trust her. Maybe it was her voice, soft and calm. Or maybe the way her eyes held a quiet sadness. "Come on," Leo said, offering his hand again. "My house isn't far." Zira hesitated, then placed her hand in his. The light from her indicator stayed dim this time, but still glowed slightly. Leo noticed again. "What is that on your wrist?" he asked as they walked slowly through the trees. Zira didn't answer right away. "It's complicated, I'll explain later." Leo led her through a narrow path in the woods. The rain was picking up, but the trees kept most of it away. After 10 minutes, they reached a small wooden cabin at the edge of the forest. Leo lived there with his uncle, who was away for a few days. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. He helped Zira inside and sat her on the couch. "Wait here," he said, then rushed to bring a first aid kit. He didn't know how to treat alien wounds, but he tried his best to stop the bleeding. Zira watched him carefully. His hands were gentle. His face was kind. She could feel something growing inside her in connection. And it scared her. "You're not from here, are you?" Leo finally asked as he cleaned her leg. "Not just from another town, but really not from here." Zira looked down, then gave a small nod. "I come from far, very far, from above your skies." Leo laughed nervously. "So, you're an alien?" She looked into his eyes. "Yes." Leo stood up, running a hand through his hair. "Okay. Wow. This is insane." Zira reached for the small glowing device on her wrist. "This is a soulmate indicator. In my world, it lights up when we meet the one person who is fully connected to us, emotionally, spiritually. It never fails. And when I touched you, it went wild." Leo blinked, unsure how to respond. "Me? A soulmate? I mean, I'm just me, a normal guy. I'm not special." Zira shook her head. "You don't understand. Our worlds were never meant to cross this way. I don't know how this is possible. But you are not just normal, Leo. My entire body, my mind, tells me you are the one." Leo sat down across from her. "This is crazy, but I don't think you're lying." They both sat in silence for a while. The rain outside got louder. Zira closed her eyes for a moment, trying to calm her racing thoughts. She had landed here without permission. If her people found out, she would be in serious trouble. Worse, they might come to take her back. and erase this moment forever. Leo looked at her closely. So, what happens now? I don't know, Zyra said softly. I wasn't supposed to come here. I broke the rules just to see who you were. But now, I think I've started something I can't stop. Suddenly, outside the cabin, a loud buzzing sound broke the calm. A small flying object hovered near the window, an alien drone. Zyra's eyes widened. They're looking for me, she said, panic rising in her voice. Leo rushed to the window. What do we do? Zyra stood up despite her injury. We hide. Now, if they find me with you, they'll take me, and they'll erase your memories. We can't let that happen. Leo nodded quickly and helped her toward the basement door. As they disappeared into the shadows, Zyra whispered, I came, here to find you. I didn't know it would turn into a fight to keep you. The basement was dark and cold, filled with boxes, old tools, and a dusty smell. Leo switched on a small lamp. Its yellow glow lit the room just enough to see. Zyra sat on an old blanket in the corner, holding her injured leg. She was breathing heavily. The moment felt too big, too strange. She was on a human planet, hiding in a wooden house next to a boy she had just met, but who was somehow, impossibly, her soulmate. Leo sat near her, still trying to process everything. The word alien repeated in his mind. She didn't look like the ones from movies. No green skin or weird heads. Zyra looked almost human, but something about her eyes, her skin, and the way she moved felt different. Otherworldly. Special. They sat in silence for a while. Leo could hear the drone moving around the house above. Its soft humming sent chills down his spine. Zyra closed her eyes. That drone belongs to a bounty scout, she whispered. They must have followed my crash signal. Bounty? Leo asked, confused. Zyra nodded. On my planet, leaving without permission is a crime, especially for someone like me. What do you mean, someone like you? She hesitated. Then she looked at him seriously. My mother is a council elder. Very powerful. I was not just breaking a rule, I was breaking trust. If they find me here, they won't listen, they'll just take me away. Leo frowned. Even if you tell them the truth? To them, truth doesn't matter. Soulmate connections with humans are not just rare, they are forbidden. They think your kind can't feel deeply enough to match ours. Leo sat back, hurt but thoughtful. That's not fair. I know, Zyra said softly. But that's the belief. That humans are too emotional, too unstable. Leo gave a small smile. Well, they're not completely wrong about that. Zyra actually laughed a little, and Leo felt his chest lighten. Even in the middle of all this madness, he had made her laugh. He liked that. Tell me something, he said after a pause. Have you ever met a human before? No, she said. Only seen them from far above. We studied Earth, watched your history, but always as observers. No contact, no feelings. Leo leaned forward. Then how do you even know what love feels like? Zyra blinked. That question struck deep. We don't. Not in the way you do. On Virelia, bonding is calm, logical. We measure it through energy and brain signals. Love, the way you describe it, sounds wild. Leo smiled gently. Yeah, it is. For a moment, neither of them spoke. A connection, quiet but powerful, was forming in the silence. Zyra looked at him, really looked. His face was simple, yet honest. There was no mask, no fear, only curiosity and kindness. It felt right. It shouldn't feel right. But it did. Suddenly a sound crackled from her wrist device. She tapped it quickly. A voice, cold and sharp, echoed from the tiny speaker. Speaking in Virelian, Zyra's face went pale. What was that? Leo asked. They've sent a hunter, she whispered. A real one, not just a drone. Leo tensed. How much time do we have? Zira shook her head. Not much, maybe hours. He stood up. Then we need a plan. Zyra hesitated, then reached into a small pouch hidden inside her suit. She pulled out a glowing object, a folded map made of thin, clear crystal. Strange symbols floated across its surface like liquid light. Leo's eyes widened. What's that? A star map, she said. But this one is different. It's old, ancient. It shows hidden energy lines, pathways built long ago, even before my people. And one of those paths ends here, near your town. Leo leaned in, trying to read the symbols. Why here? I don't know, she said, but maybe someone left it behind. Maybe there's a reason this place connects to my people. Leo pointed to a symbol glowing red on the map. What's this mark? Zira touched it. It's where the signal came from, where my soulmate indicator reacted, where you were standing. They both stared at the mark in silence. The connection between them felt bigger now, like it wasn't just about the device. Maybe something older had brought them together. Zira rolled the map carefully. We need to follow it. There may be a place where we can hide or find answers. Maybe even protection. Leo nodded. I'll come with you. Zira looked at him, surprised. You don't have to. This is dangerous. I know, Leo said, but I think this is already part of my story now. Above them, the drone buzzed louder, then moved away. For now, the danger had passed, but both of them knew it would return. Stronger, faster, and closer. They stood up together, side by side. Zyra looked at him. You're brave. Leo smiled. No, just curious. They climbed out of the basement slowly. The night was dark. The stars above clearer than ever. Somewhere beyond those stars, Zyra's people were watching. But here, on Earth, two souls, never meant to meet, had found something rare. Not just connection, but purpose. The morning sky was still dark with leftover clouds from last night's storm. A cold breeze passed through the trees as Leo and Zira stepped carefully over fallen branches and wet leaves. They had walked for an hour, deep into the forest, far from the roads and homes. Zyra held the glowing crystal map close to her chest, watching the light shift every few minutes. It was guiding them to something, somewhere old, hidden, and unknown. Neither of them spoke much. The silence was not uncomfortable. It was heavy with thoughts. Leo kept glancing at her. Zyra walked slowly, still limping from her leg injury, but her focus didn't break. She looked stronger today, but also quieter, like her mind was far away. He had questions, many of them. But he waited, sensing she wasn't ready to speak. Yet, finally, after reaching a small hill covered in moss and stone, Zira stopped. She placed her hand against a flat rock that looked just like part of the hill. The moment she touched it, the stone shimmered, then disappeared like smoke. Behind, it was a narrow tunnel with glowing blue veins running along the walls. Leo's jaw dropped slightly. What is this place? An ancient shelter, Zira said, built by a species that existed before mine. My people found their ruins and learned from them. This place might hide us, for now. They stepped inside. The air was cool and dry. The walls made a soft humming sound like distant music. As they walked, lights came on, sensing Zira's presence. The tunnel opened into a small circular chamber with a crystal table in the center. The ceiling above looked like stars were trapped in glass. Leo looked around in wonder. This is incredible. Zyra sat on the edge of the table, her hand resting on her injured leg. Then slowly she looked at him with serious eyes. Leo, I think it's time I tell you the full truth. Leo nodded and sat across from her. I'm ready. She took a breath. I didn't just come to Earth out of curiosity. I was trained to control emotions, to resist them. On Virelia, emotional attachment is seen as weakness. That's why most people don't believe in soulmates anymore. But I always believed, Leo listened carefully. When my soulmate indicator activated and pointed to Earth, I didn't believe it at first. A human soulmate? That had never happened. My first thought was, maybe something is wrong with me. But the feeling didn't stop. It pulled at me. And when I saw you, it made sense. She paused. But there's more. You're not just connected to me emotionally. That same energy that powered the soulmate bond, it also activated the ancient map. That shouldn't be possible. Only someone with Varelian blood can do that. Leo frowned. Wait. Are you saying I'm part alien? Zira hesitated. I don't know. But your DNA, your energy, it's not fully human. I sensed it the moment we touched. There's something inside you. Something hidden. Leo stood up slowly, confused and overwhelmed. How is that even possible? I was born here. My parents were normal people. Maybe, Zira said, or maybe one of your ancestors wasn't. He began pacing. This is insane. My whole life I thought I was just average. Now you're saying I'm part of something else? Zira looked down. I'm sorry I didn't want to keep this from you, but I didn't want to scare you away either. Leo ran a hand through his hair, breathing hard. Why me? Why not someone else? Because you're strong, Zira said, and kind, and your heart is open. That's what the indicator sees, not just blood but spirit. Leo stopped and looked at her. You really believe that? She nodded. Yes. Silence filled the chamber for a moment. Then Zira stood up too, even though her leg ached. There's more, she added quietly. If the hunter finds us, they will take me back. And if they learn about your energy, they might take you too. Or worse. They don't allow connections, like this. They'll erase your memory or eliminate you. Leo felt a chill. Then we can't let them find us. Zira looked into his eyes. No. We have to move again. But this time, not just to hide. We need to find out why the map connects to you. There's something waiting. A reason behind all this. Leo nodded slowly. All right. Then we go together. She smiled softly. Together. They left the chamber, following the next glowing line on the map. As they walked deeper into the forest, neither of them knew what waited ahead. But they knew one thing. Nothing was random. The map. The bond. The strange energy inside Leo. It all meant something, and the first truth, that a human and an alien could be soulmates, was just the beginning. The forest air had changed. It was no longer calm. It felt sharp, like the trees themselves were watching. The birds had stopped singing, and the wind no longer moved the leaves. Leo noticed it first. That stillness that came before something terrible. He looked at Zira, walking just ahead of him, the glowing crystal map still in her hand. The lines on it were changing. The path was leading them deeper into the wild, toward a cliffside covered in thick vines. But even the map seemed slower now, flickering like it sensed danger nearby. Zira's eyes scanned the sky. They're close, she said softly. Leo didn't ask how she knew. He had learned to trust her instincts. Ever since they left the ancient shelter, Zira had been different, more focused. She spoke less and moved with purpose. Her injured leg still hurt, but she refused to let it slow her down. She knew what was coming. A hunter, not a machine, not a scout. A real Varelian tracker. And once they locked onto a target, they never stopped until the mission was done. We can't outrun them forever, Leo said. We're not trying to, Zira replied. We're trying to reach the next beacon. If we activate it, we might block their signal, or draw power strong enough to protect us. Leo raised an eyebrow. And where is this beacon? Zira pointed at the cliff. Behind that wall. Leo looked at the thick vines and stone. There's no door. There is, she said, but only I can open it. Before she could move, a sudden sound sliced through the air, a high-pitched whistle, unnatural and sharp. Leo turned quickly. A thin beam of light shot past his head and struck a tree behind them. The bark exploded into glowing dust. Zira's eyes widened. "Run!" They dashed toward the cliff. Zira slammed her hand against the rock wall. Symbols lit up under her touch. The vines pulled back, revealing a hidden doorway that opened just in time. They slipped inside, and the door sealed shut behind them. Inside the cavern, it was bright. Blue crystals lit the walls and the air buzzed with a strange energy. In the center stood a pillar, tall and covered in ancient carvings. Zira walked straight to it and placed both hands on its surface. The pillar pulsed with light, reacting to her presence. Leo was still breathing hard from the chase. "They found us." Zira nodded. "The hunter is skilled. I can feel his focus. He's not just tracking me, he's tracking you now too." "Why me?" Leo asked again, frustration in his voice. "Because your energy is no longer quiet. When we bonded, even for a second, it changed you. You're connected to my world now. They'll see you as a threat." Leo looked at the glowing pillar. "So, what do we do?" Zira's hands were trembling. "This beacon can help. It holds ancient protection code, but I need time to unlock it." Just then a loud bang shook the cavern. The stone door behind them cracked, and through it stepped a tall, silver-armored figure. His face was hidden by a smooth mask, and his body moved with cold precision. The Eye, Hunter. Zira stepped in front of Leo. "Leave him alone, I'm the one you want." The hunter raised his weapon. "You broke the code. You touched the human. You must return for cleansing." Leo stood his ground. "She's not going anywhere." The hunter turned his mask toward Leo. "Then you will be erased." Before he could fire, Zira raised her hand and released a sudden burst of light. The beam struck the hunter in the chest, knocking him back. Leo stared, stunned. "What was that?" "My connection to the pillar," Zira said. "It's waking up." But the hunter rose again. He moved faster this time, charging toward them. Leo grabbed a fallen piece of crystal and swung it hard, hitting the hunter's leg. It didn't do much, but it slowed him down for a second, enough for Zira to finish the sequence on the beacon. The cavern lit up. A deep hum echoed through the space. The walls shimmered and a dome of light surrounded Zira and Leo. The hunter tried to push through it, but the light burned him. He screamed in rage and vanished in a flash of smoke. Silence returned. Zira fell to her knees, breathing heavily. The pillar's light dimmed slowly, returning to a soft glow. Leo rushed to her side. "Are you okay?" She nodded. "The beacon worked. It won't hold him forever, but it gives us time." Leo helped her stand. "We need a new plan." Zira looked into his eyes. "No, we need to stop running. The hunter won't quit. And if I keep dragging you into danger, they'll hurt you." "I'm not leaving you," Leo said firmly. "You don't understand," she said, her voice breaking. "If they catch us together again, they won't erase just your memory. They'll erase you." Leo was silent. Then he stepped closer. "Then let them try." She stared at him, surprised. The look in his eyes was calm, steady, and completely human, and that somehow gave her strength. They didn't know what would happen next, but in that moment, inside an ancient alien cave, surrounded by light and danger, one thing became clear. They were no longer just a human and an alien. They were a team. A bond the stars could not break. The sky turned darker as evening approached, and the shadows in the forest grew longer. But Leo and Zira didn't notice the sunset. They were already deep underground beneath layers of ancient stone and glowing alien metal. After escaping the hunter in the hidden beacon chamber, they had followed the map again. But this time, something was different. The path was no longer just guiding them. It was reacting to them. The map's lines no longer moved with simple direction but with urgency, pulsing with a soft rhythm like a heartbeat. Zira walked quietly ahead, her face pale from exhaustion. The power she had used against the hunter had drained her. Her leg still throbbed from the old injury, but she didn't speak of pain. She had something else on her mind now, something heavier. Leo followed close behind, still carrying the crystal app. The path had led them to a deep tunnel, one that had not been used in centuries. Walls of soft white stone lined with dim lights stretched in both directions, but the map was clear. They had almost reached the final mark, the last signal. Finally, they stepped into a wide chamber at the end of the tunnel. It was unlike anything they had seen before. The room was shaped like a star, 5 pointed halls leading away from a glowing central platform. Above them, a high glass ceiling revealed the full night sky. Stars blinked above, but Zira's eyes didn't focus on them. Her gaze was fixed on the structure in the center of the room, a tall spire made of silver crystal, humming softly. Leo stepped forward. "Is this it?" Zira nodded slowly. "The last beacon. The final signal. Point. It's connected to everything. My planet, this world, even the ancient species that built all this." She moved closer to it, but didn't touch it yet. Her voice was low. "Once this signal is activated, it will send a message across galaxies. A message that says, I've made a bond with a human, and that I've chosen him." Leo frowned. "Is that bad?" "To them? Very," she said. "It will be seen as rebellion. They may call it betrayal." Leo looked confused. "But why? Why are they so afraid of us?" Zira turned to him. "Because humans feel. Deeply, wildly, unpredictably. You risk everything for love. You fight even when you're afraid. My people fear what they can't control. They think feelings make you weak. But I've seen the truth now." She walked slowly to the base of the spire. "Feelings make you strong." Leo watched her closely. "So, what happens when you send the signal?" Zira hesitated. "They'll come. Not the hunters this time. The High Council. My mother. Maybe even the Sovereign herself. They'll try to take me, to separate us. But once the signal is sent, the bond will be public. Unbreakable." Leo took a breath. "Then we send it." Zira turned to him, surprised. "You don't have to do this. You can walk away. If you stay, they may hurt you, or change you." Leo shook his head. "I already changed the moment I met you. I'm not going anywhere." She smiled, small, soft, full of warmth. Then she placed both hands on the silver spire. The lights around the room brightened. The spire responded instantly, sending out rings of energy. The walls glowed. The ceiling above shimmered with strange symbols. And then, with a pulse so deep it could be felt in their bones, the signal launched into the stars. Far above Earth, in the darkness of space, a powerful transmission crossed light years in seconds. On a distant world, high in the marble towers of Virelia's capital, a group of glowing figures sat up straight. The message had been received. A connection had been formed, an illegal bond between a Virelian and a human. Zira stepped back from the spire, breathing hard. Her skin sparkled faintly with energy. "It's done." Leo looked up. "So now we wait?" "No," she said. "Now we prepare." A sudden tremor shook the ground. The air grew heavier. A strange blue fog began to drift through the corners of the room. Zira's face went pale. "They're not waiting. They're already here." The spire lit up again, brighter this time. A deep voice echoed through the chamber, not with sound but inside their minds. "Zira of Virelia, step away from the human. You have broken ancient code. Return at once." Leo grabbed her hand. "Don't listen." Zira closed her eyes and spoke aloud. "I will not break the bond. I chose it and I choose him." There was silence. Then another voice entered the room. Not a cold one this time, but one Zira knew too well. A woman's voice. Calm, strong, and full of command. "Zira, my daughter, what have you done?" Zira gasped. "Mother." From the shadows beyond the spire, a glowing portal opened. and through it stepped a tall figure dressed in flowing silver robes with eyes that burned like stars. Zira took a step forward, but Leo pulled her back. The voice spoke again. "You have one chance. Leave the human, return with me, or lose your place. Forever." Zira looked at Leo, then back at the figure who had raised her. Her choice was clear. But the consequences had just begun. The air inside the ancient chamber was heavy with silence. Time itself seemed to pause as Zira stood between two lives, one behind her and one in front of her. Her mother, Lady Virelia, High Council elder and commander of their homeworld, stood tall and still beyond the glowing portal. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were full of fire. Behind her, other figures began to appear, tall, robed, glowing with the unmistakable power of the council. This was no warning. It was a judgment. Zira held Leo's hand tighter. His presence, his warmth, reminded her of the choice she had already made. Not with words, but with her heart. She had crossed galaxies, broken ancient codes, and fought, off hunters, all for a moment like this. But now, the true test stood before her. Not the fear of losing power, but the fear of losing the only person who made her feel real. Lady Virelia stepped closer to the edge of the portal. Her voice echoed through the chamber, strong and cold. "Zira, come home. We will erase this mistake. You are not thinking clearly. This bond is false." "It's not false," Zira said. Her voice trembled, but only slightly. "It's the most real thing I've ever felt." Her mother's expression didn't change. "The human does not understand our ways. You are not meant to love their kind." Leo finally stepped forward, his voice calm but steady. "You're right, I don't understand your ways, but I understand her. I know how she laughs when she's nervous, how she hides pain behind silence, and how she'd risk everything to protect someone she barely knows. She's not just an alien to me. She's her. Zira." Zira looked at him, heart full. For a human, he had spoken more clearly than most Virelians ever had. Lady Virelia looked at her daughter again. "If you stay, Zira, you are no longer one of us. Your name will be removed from the records. You will lose your position, your future, your home." Zira took a breath. Her voice was softer now, but full of power. "If I return with you, I'll lose myself, and him, and I won't let that happen." There was a pause. Then her mother's face finally changed, not with anger, but pain. "I raised you to serve something greater than yourself." "You did," Zira agreed. "And now I am." The portal flickered. A council member behind Lady Virelia spoke in a deep voice. "So be it. The bond is declared. The exile begins." Zira felt a surge of energy in her chest. The spire in the center of the chamber glowed bright red, reacting to the final decision. A ring of light formed around her and Leo, a seal. Ancient, irreversible, and binding. It marked them as bonded souls under old galactic law. The council turned away. Lady Virelia stared at Zira one last time, then stepped back into the shadows of the portal, and then silence. The portal closed with a soft hum, and the lights in the chamber dimmed. Leo turned to her. "So, what now?" Zira smiled, but there were tears in her eyes. "Now we build something new." "But where?" he asked. "We can't go to your world, and mine. Well, let's just say we're not exactly safe anymore." Zira looked at the spire. The symbols began to shift again, glowing in new patterns. A soft hum filled the air, but it was no longer a warning. It was an invitation. "I think this place was meant for us," she said. "This isn't just a cave. It's a seed. A living structure, built by ancient ones. Maybe they knew this kind of bond would exist one day, not between planets, but between people." Leo walked beside her, staring up at the glowing ceiling. "So, we stay here?" Zira nodded. "For now." until the universe is ready for something different. They sat together on the steps near the center, the spire glowing gently beside them. Zira leaned her head on Leo's shoulder. Outside, stars shifted slowly. Light years away, entire empires moved on, unaware that something rare had just begun. A quiet revolution, not of weapons or war, but of connection. Later that night, as Leo drifted to sleep under the alien sky, Zira remained awake for a while, watching the stars. She felt fear, yes, of what she had lost, of what might come, but she also felt peace. For the first time in her life, she wasn't just living by duty or logic. She was living by choice. And that choice had a name. Leo.